I wasn't raised in the church. And so when I first encountered people who were churched, who kind of grew up in the church, boy, what a language shift that was for me. Had to learn all the language. We talk about Christianese. It drove me crazy because for the most part, and I try to avoid these words now because I know that it's easy to fall into the pattern of speech that we develop with each other. And I think this is actually pretty powerful. I think that every significant ideological view ought to have its own language, and I have no problem with that. But if I'm trying to communicate this view to somebody else, that's where it gets to be a little bit difficult. And that's where I think I struggled, especially with the cliches that are often offered by either the Christian culture at large or by any Christian you might meet. I think the biggest lie about Christianity that people sometimes affirm as Christians is that we should not judge. Don't judge me. We shouldn't judge others. How in the world can we develop that kind of cliche from the Christian worldview? Well, first of all, if we're not to judge, are you judging me for holding a position that I ought to judge? It's impossible to hold the view you should not judge without yourself making a judgment view. So it's self-refuting to begin with, it seems to me. But worse than that, I don't think there's a biblical precedent for it. Do you think that Jesus didn't pass judgments and proclamations on bad ideas? He did this constantly. He did this with all the Jewish groups he met that held bad ideas. He said their father was Satan. I mean, he said things that were pretty devastating, right? He would make claims about people who held bad ideas. They were whitewashed tombs. I mean, these are some pretty dramatic. It was kind of like Twitter before Twitter. I think we are told that we ought to hate evil. We just can't hate the people who hold evil views. We have to love people, but be very careful. There are some really bad ideas out there. And there are some ideas I hope my kids and I hope the people I hang out with, they reject those views because they are evil. But I still hope we love people, because if you want to influence somebody with a view, even though you judge that that view is not godly, that view is evil, we're going to have a relationship and a truth claim that are married. It's in the context of relationship that we can actually make a truth claim to people. You have to have relational equity before you can actually try to persuade them on whatever claim you're making. That's why I think it's important for us to love the people who hold bad ideas, because if we don't love them, we'll never be able to tell them their idea is bad. They're not going to live. We haven't actually earned their trust to make the kind of change we want to make in their thinking. So that cliche that we ought not judge is paralyzing. Of course, the culture would like us to believe that's true, because if it is true, we won't ever share truth, biblical truth, with anyone, because we had to first start by judging that what truth they hold is inaccurate. But if I'm not allowed to do that, then I can't say anything. So that's a cliche that I think paralyzes us and keeps us from taking the first step toward truth.